And what is going on, everyone? And welcome to another special edition of Houston Texans football on the Bleacher Report Network. But first, I want to wish everybody a happy Good Friday. Hope you guys have a blessed one wherever you are, and also have a safe one wherever you are. Also, Harley, this weekend it's something special for here. Here in Houston, you got the Rockets in the playoffs Sunday night at home. Golden State Warriors. We also have WrestleMania night 1 and 2, Saturday and Sunday. Oh my God.
Goodness.
And then this is the final weekend until the NFL draft. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you will no longer have to wait a Saturday or Sunday, only business days after this weekend, as the Houston Texans will be selecting a player with the 25th overall pick. And Harley got you covered. Whenever the Houston Texans are done making moves night one, he will immediately hop on the Bleacher Report app and give you guys his thoughts. Harley, we've been doing this for now almost 3 months, right? Of every single day, not every single day, but every other day. How's it going for you so far?
It's going all right, man. We're finally seeing the end of the tunnel here when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to the NFL draft. I've been trying to consume so much stuff with the draft. Been watching a lot of Todd McShay stuff, Mina
Okay.
Kimes, been going through all the Kyle Long, even on his pushing the pile on CBS Sports, has been very informative too for the offensive line. We just got word a few minutes ago.
Talk to me.
There's a clip of Aaron Wilson talking about Donovan Jackson, and Donovan
Mm.
Jackson being informed that the Houston Texans will be looking at offensive line at 25. Oh my goodness. Like we didn't know that already.
It kind of sounds like Donovan Jansen might be the safe pick here, Harley. I feel like if all else fails, if there's not a Kelvin Banks, if it's not a Josh Simmons, the Houston Texans safe pick would be Donovan Jackson Jr., guard out of the Ohio State. Now, he's gotten some love the last couple of weeks, has been viewed as a early day two pick, but when you're at 25, you're damn near at the end of the first round. Take advantage of that fifth year option, and hey, you take your first step forward into fixing this horrible offensive line. But Harley, I represented us yesterday, and I think I represented us well in the Bleacher Report creator mock draft. That was about 3 hours long. We had the other 31 teams. I wanted to get your reaction to some of the biggest moves. The first one, the Jets, they pass on running back Ashton Genty and
Okay.
select tight end Tyler Warren.
Not shocking, actually.
Okay.
Actually not. I would prefer them actually to take a Tyler Warren, if that was more available to them. I know what team pissed. They're pissed is the Colts. The Colts are pissed. They want a tight end in the worst way possible. Loveland is still on the board though in this scenario, but yeah, no, I'm not too shocked they got Brees Hall. I think they're waiting to go, hey, we could still attack running back later in this draft. Let's go ahead and get maybe one of the better weapons in the draft in Tyler Warren.
Funny how you bring up Coast and Loveland, because that's who ended up becoming a Indianapolis Colts later that night. They were tight end or bust. So no matter who the tight end was available, that's who they were picking. Just a couple of picks later, the Las Vegas Raiders draft Shador Sanders, quarterback
Mm.
out of Colorado, even though they gave Geno Smith that big extension. Your thoughts on the Raiders taking Shador Sanders?
Yeah, that would it's a little bit of both. I would say it would shock me a bit, but it's also understandable that okay, Shador, you're gonna sit here and wait a year or even
Mm-hmm.
two with Geno Smith, and we're comfortable enough to have him wait a year or two and have him learn the ropes, learn what exactly it is to be a quarterback. And Geno Smith, look, he knows this is his last contract. He got himself paid
Mm-hmm.
pretty well. I hope he balls out. I really love the story of Geno Smith, but he's no stranger to
Yeah.
being a backup quarterback, man. And everywhere he's gone, he has a great relationship with a bunch of teams. It's not shocking that he found his way back with Pete Carroll in Vegas, considering he was a longtime backup for Russell Wilson in Seattle. So Not shocking at all. Really like it. And yeah, they finally get them. They need a quarterback,
They need one.
and you find something, hopefully something that can maintain some sort of comfortable,
Mhm.
maintain a future there in Oakland, or the Vegas Raiders. Excuse me.
Yeah, and then and just like Shador just screams Vegas, right? Like if you want just
Big time.
media, if you want attention,
Big time.
what better place than Las Vegas? So
Yeah.
here's where I think it might surprise you because the first two didn't sound like they surprised you a bit.
Okay.
Pittsburgh Steelers on the board. They go quarterback. They don't go Jackson Dart. They go Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. Now, the reaction to this, Harley, everyone was like, this dude does not know what the hell he's talking about. Who is this guy? There was a lot of people upset the Steelers passed on Jackson Dart and went with Jalen Milroe.
Oh, they passed on
Yeah,
Dart.
he passed on
Wow.
Dart. Like I want Jalen Milroe instead of Jackson Dart.
Wow. Now that is shocking to me.
Okay.
It didn't shock me initially. If they went Jalen Milroe, doesn't necessarily shock anybody, considering that that's been an implied rumor going
Mm,
around the NFL circles that Jalen Milroe could be a Pittsburgh Steeler, and he is invited to day one of draft day. So, very, wondering exactly, putting the tinfoil hat and trying to figure out,
mm,
okay, where does Jalen Milroe fit at? And everyone's been pigeonholing him to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but to pass up on Jackson Dart, I mean, you are banking on the athletic ability of Jalen Milroe and his modern offensive usage that you can have here in the year of 2025 playing football in the NFL. I mean, uh,
we're panicking,
it
man.
is shout out to Magic Mike, man. It would be very shocking to see this happen in round one. I would not do this if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers. Would not. I feel like you could still wait and get him. There are
Mhm.
far more pressing needs for the Steelers than Jalen Milroe. They could even, if they wanted to, they could even leave the draft without a quarterback and go trade for a Kirk Cousins. I think that would be fitting them very well.
Mm. Now, as we get to what happened with my selection, so as we all know, the Houston Texans have the 25th pick in this draft. Harley, I traded up. I
Okay.
moved up two. I'm sorry. Yeah, I moved up two spots with the Green Bay Packers. So we swapped first. We swapped third. So he gave me number 88 and I gave him number 79. So the Texans still have two third-round picks, but they're just really close to each other. And then they ended up giving them, 160th overall to jump the Minnesota Vikings, who I guess were looking for an offensive tackle, Harley, because as soon as I jumped them and selected Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle out of Texas, the Minnesota Vikings, they traded out of the first round.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad trade actually either. You're not moving any of the main parts. You still maintain your top four picks in the top 100. I think that's an A+ trade for us if that would have happened in real life. I am not upset at it. You moved up a few spots. You went and got your guy in Kelvin Banks, somebody that, according to the national media and the talking heads, seems like a guy that is
Mhm.
the guy for the Houston Texans, besides even Tyler Booker as well. So Kelvin Banks, you get yourself a offensive tackle that can lock that position down for the next however many years, hopefully the
Mhm.
next decade. This is a solid move. I don't mind that idea.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a home run. And then what ended up happening is the last pick of the draft, the Philadelphia Eagles, dear God, bro, they got Malachi Starks.
Makes sense. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Georgia Bulldogs go hand in hand. It is the Philadelphia Georgia exchange. They just continue to just take every Bulldog player there is available. And damn it, it seems like every single one of
Mhm.
them has turned out to be really good for them as well. So the Philadelphia Bulldogs definitely are doing their work there, getting Malachi Starks. I didn't like the stuff I saw at the NFL Combine.
Mm.
He didn't really perform well. working out and stuff. But then you turn the film on and you go, okay, this dude's just a football player. That's
Yeah.
just what he is. He just plays some damn good football.
No, he swarms, man. He swarms. So, Harley, pick 25, man, because we're gonna start counting down the days until we can no longer do a mock draft on the Bleacher Report Network for this year. So we only got 3 left, man. Should we go crazy with this one? Should we stick to what we've been doing and draft of need or BPA? What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, we could go a little razzle dazzle. Go a little
Let's
razzle
go
dazzle.
a little razzle dazzle, Harley. So with the 25th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans, if I was given the reins, Magic Mike, let me know what you think. Amarian Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. Genty is the most heavily marketed round run running back in the 2025 NFL Draft. But there's another player who should hear his name called within the first 32 picks in a just world. North Carolina's Amarian Hampton. He amassed 3,164 yards and 30 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. Hampton has the tools to be an impact starter as a volume back in the NFL. His size and physicality stand out as a separating trait, but he brings even more to the table: speed and burst. It sounds like Amarian Hampton, Harley, is going to be an RB1 with guys like Gray Zabel and Emeka Abuka, Luther Bird, and Donovan Jackson, who we just talked about, available there at 25. It would surprise everyone if the Texans did what I did and win with Amarian Hampton.
Yeah, that would shock a lot of people. Man, he is 5'11", 221. There's definitely got to be some chatter
Mm-hmm.
at 25. If a Marion Hampton is still on the board, you have to have some chatter in the war room going, hey, what do we go running back here with Marion Hampton? I know the running back draft class is deep, but this guy right here, man, he's light on his feet. Again, 5'11", 220, all-purpose running back. He had 67 receptions in the past 2 years. So split that in half. You're looking at 30 and 30 right there almost. 30 and 40 basically. So yeah, he could be a receiving threat as well too. We've seen the New England Patriots in the past with Nick Caley involved in that offense. You know how to utilize running backs out of the receiving threats. We saw it with James White. We've seen it with their Rex Burkhead, former Houston Texan, long time ago.
Oh my
Danny
God.
Woodhead. So yeah, that's not a good memory, huh? Marion Hampton's a dangerous running back that could really transform the offense. And I think ultimately with that pick, you're going. A lot of Texans fans would groan after that pick. They
Mm-hmm.
would get upset after that pick, but in 2 to 3 years,
Okay.
when Joe Mixon is declining and you are looking elsewhere to pass the baton to the next RB1, you have him on the roster. It is Omarion Hampton. The running back position right now is popular. It's trendy. Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, and Joe Mixon himself brought popularity back to the running back position, and it does not help that this class is so deep as
Mm-hmm.
well. This is a something that I'm not very fond of. I'll be honest with you,
Same.
considering the class is that deep. But hey, Omarion Hampton is a dude.
Let's give him number 23.
Yeah,
Based off of
that would
Eric
make
Murray.
sense, huh?
Yeah, I
That
mean,
would
it's
make
open
sense.
now.
That would make sense. I believe he wore what 25. I want to say it was or something. 26 is
Mm.
what he wore.
I would die if we draft Hampton, but what do we
28.
need a receiver? No, Magic Mike, we do. But with this mock draft, we wanted to go crazy. Because we've been drafting for need pretty much the entire time during this draft season. So we are going if the Houston Texans wanted to shock the world, if they wanted to surprise everyone. And here's the thing. Harley brought it up. General Manager Nick Caserio said we don't draft because of need. We draft because we draft based on the best player available. And Amarian Hampton at 25, Harley is the best player available.
Yeah, yeah, I'm right there with you. And how funny is it that the national media were talking about handing the baton over to Omarion Hampton in 2 years, maybe, And how funny is it that his comp is Joe Mixon?
Really?
So that's a pretty good one right there. So not so bad. I don't initially I would be upset at the pick, and then I would let it sit and I would stew for a little while.
You're gonna be mad
And
until you see that first play where he just breaks one and it's gone.
exactly, and that's the biggest thing with Marion Hampton. 2 yards end up being like 5 yards,
Hmm.
because his contact after balance is so good. Man, that's a fun one right there. It definitely is.
Definitely is a fun one. A lot of people would definitely be pissed off of, I'm pretty sure we both would be pretty upset if this was the pick at 25, Harley, especially when we immediately have to go live right after with our reactions.
Yeah.
Okay, round two, Travion Henderson. We're not going running back. Jalen Noel, wide receiver, Iowa State. Jonah Savanea, offensive guard, Arizona, but we've taken him already. Quinshawn Judkins, running back, Ohio State. Tate Ratledge, Jaden Higgins, Kyle Williams, Harold Fannin Jr., Jack Beck. Do any of these names excite you, Harley?
Hmm. There's quite a few there. Um, there is quite a few right there. Um, Immediately after taking a Marion Hampton, the national media perspective now is they're going to make fun of you because you
Fair.
took a running back without an offensive line. So what do you do at 58? You go and get yourself one of the better offensive linemen out of Georgia and Tate Ratledge. I think that right there is the move for the Texans. I love Jonas Savanea, but Tate Ratledge is right there. I think they're right close to each other in terms of prospects. Tate Ratledge, the mullet man, he's got the look that sets him apart, but he plays just as hard. I mean, he is a hard playing football guy, and I think everyone there at Georgia, the other two, Jared Wilson and Dylan Fairchild, they had themselves a strong
Mhm.
interior for the Georgia Bulldogs, and they went up against some SEC defenses. Tate Ratledge is that guy that could come in here and become a day one starter for you, compete immediately at camp, and end up winning the job. Would not shock any fan here in Houston whatsoever. So Tate Ratledge, 58. Yeah, I'll go ahead and send it in.
He's 24?
He is 24. He was a senior. That
Ooh.
is one thing that is a bit, yeah, there's some stuff there. There's definitely some cons when it comes to him as well too now. But these are the risks you take as
This
a
is the second
GM.
round.
I'm sorry.
This is the second round.
It is. It is. You know.
But hey, if he's 24 years old
4 years.
and he was what, a 4-year starter at Georgia,
Believe so.
hats okay. So let's get his profile. Uh, involves a lot of back and forth, but he undoubtedly has a path to becoming a solid, if unspectacular, NFL starter. A two-time national champion with 37 starts at right guard to his name. Experience is a strength of Ratledge, but the 24-year-old
Mm.
rookie also missed time to lower body injuries multiple times in his career. He's an elite athlete with rare explosiveness, agility, and second-level mobility, but at almost 6'7" with arms just over 32, his build is a bit unorthodox. So he has T-Rex arms. Projects to be a solid guard for you. I wouldn't mind this whatsoever. Hey, 24 years old. I expect you to be as professional as they come, as mature as they come, and you know exactly why you're here. No
Yeah, and
bullshitting.
even with the short arms there, I know he's got about a 32-inch arms right there. He's country strong though.
Ooh.
Like he is one of the more physical off, if not the most physical offensive linemen in this draft. So sure, the short arms is something that is going to be a talking point when it comes if you did draft him. But he's physical. He's strong as an ox. It doesn't bother me with the short arms.
No, it won't bother me at all whatsoever. If you're protecting CJ Stroud, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And here's the thing: I will say, I will say this, Harley. Age for the offensive line, that's really not a concern for me. You know
No,
it. You know
I'm good.
it wouldn't be the same type of concern if, let's say, Marion Hampton was 24 years old. Right now, you probably only got him for 1, 2, 2.5 seasons. But we've
Mhm.
seen offensive linemen last until they're 40 years old. So that does not scare me away from taking Tate Radish in a second. I would actually like that, man. Experience is what we need. And when you had the second most out quarterback in the NFL, experience is needed here. 79, Harley. I'm going to make it for you. Wide receiver Jack Beck out of TCU.
Okay. Okay.
He
Yeah,
is
I don't mind it.
immediately your wide receiver three. Unfortunately, will not be there at 74. Is being projected as a middle to late second round pick. So if the Houston Texans want to go get Jack Beck, they might have to trade up for him. Good route running, great blocker. He sounds like a Los Angeles Rams wide receiver. I would not mind Jack Beck at all. Actually, that would excite me if the Texans took Jack Beck.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. I think the biggest thing is his blocking ability. That is one of the biggest things when it comes to Jack Beck. John Harris, guy that was here locally in Houston. For anybody that doesn't know John Harris, he's one of the draft guys that here for Sports Radio 610. Fantastic job. He talked about a specific play at the Senior Bowl where they did a crack toss to the left side, right side. And usually, crack toss, you have the running back grab it's a toss play to the running back. Essentially, you're having a guard pull. You got to maybe a fullback in there, maybe not, who knows. But specifically, the wide receiver that's on that side, and let's say it's Nico Collins in that case, is always the guy that just floods inside whoever the opposing corner or linebacker or even defensive end is. And usually it's a linebacker. You just flood them inside. You're going to punch them right in the mouth. And John Harris talked about Jack Beck doing this and the linebacker that he just blocked until the whistle was over. And the linebacker was complaining because Jack Beck would not get off him the whole time they practiced that play. That is something you want in a Texans uniform. He has effort. He has the ability, solid route runner, really good hands. Not the fastest wide receiver, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. There's ways to schematically get him open, and with a guy like Nick Caley, you are going to entrust that he can get these guys open, and these guys themselves can get open as well. Jack Beck can get open, even though he isn't the fastest guy at wide receiver. Some people might say tight end.
Oh, he's not the fastest guy, but he's technically sound where he can create separation. He can win the one-on-one battles, which is why, when you look at a Cooper Kupp, a Puka Nakua, these were guys who weren't considered burners, but were considered guys who could create routes, separate, and find the holes in defenses. Jack Beck could do that. Dude, that would be a home run hit in the third round. Moving on, pick 89, Harley. Here's who's available to us.
Okay.
Cameron Williams, offensive tackle out of Texas. I think the Texans met with him. Terrence Ferguson, tight end out of Oregon. We got another guard here, Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia. Charles Grant, offensive tackle for William and Mary. On the defensive side, man, there's not really a lot that sticks out to you. Wait, give me 1 second. There's Omar Noman Lott, defensive tackle out of Tennessee. Shamar Turner, defensive tackle out of Texas A&M. Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech. A lot of options here.
Yeah, there is quite a few options there. I'm torn between because I really love Shamar Turner. I really like what he can bring to this Texans defense. He's just a nasty player. Like he's a little dirty, and I don't mind it. It's all about the swarm. And some people say dirty player. I say he's a swarmy individual that with D'Amico Ryans could turn into a very solid player for this team. Maybe even someone that could be an underrated pick in this draft for the Texans, a Shamar Turner. It's between him and Dylan Fairchild to me. Big fan of Dylan Fairchild, and it's tough now that I'm even talking about him even more here. I mean, state wrestling champ, like he's Dylan Fairchild is definitely. We were just talking about the other offensive lineman for Georgia with Tate Ratledge, and here's Dylan Fairchild, fallen to you as a gift at 89. And I think that would be, you know, yeah, there's some cons to his game for sure. Um, but there is a whole lot of pros, and those pros outweigh the cons. And in
Mm-hmm.
this case, the Texans need so much youth and talent at offensive line. Again, would not and it should not shock anybody if they dip their toe twice into the offensive line group.
And you bring up youth, Dylan Fairchild, only 21 years of
Mm-hmm.
age. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up um the 3-round mock draft. So we took Amarian Hampton with the 25th overall pick in the first round. Then we went Tate Ratledge, offensive guard out of Georgia. Pick 79, Jack Beck, wide receiver out of TCU. Dylan Fairchild, offensive guard out of Georgia at pick 89 to round out the mock draft for us today. Harley, let's stay on the offensive line here. You see Tate Ratledge, you see a Dylan Fairchild. Can you throw out for me your projected starting offensive line if this was indeed the draft?
It would still, to me, oh wow, wow, that's tough. I'm gonna go Cam Robinson at left tackle.
Oh,
I'm still gonna lean on him left tackle. I'm gonna go left guard. Should be, who did we hit? Ratledge and Fairchild. We'll go Tate Ratledge at left guard. Your center is going to be Juice Scruggs.
mm-hmm.
Right guard, I still think Fairchild could end up being the starter, but for week one, maybe they roll with the veteran in Lincoln Tomlinson. I do think Lincoln Tomlinson is going to find his way as a starter for this team. He's a veteran. He knows the scheme. He has a leg up in that competition, unless Fairchild just blows them away and he's just better. But it could take a few weeks for Fairchild. It could take him half the season for Fairchild to end up getting starter snaps. So I am going to go with Lincoln Tomlinson at right guard. And then my right tackle, I'm going to go Titus Howard. Titus Howard is the right tackle.
What about 71?
And I think that's going to be the right tackle for you. I think a lot of people put some weight on the Trent Brown signing for no reason. He doesn't do a lot for me. You still have a swing tackle in Blake Fisher, and that's what he was drafted for last year. He's going to be in direct competition for this, but you paid Titus Howard. You paid him money. You paid him money to be the tackle for the Houston Texans. I want him specifically playing tackle for the Houston Texans. Sure, could they find a way to get their best 5 available there and maybe force a Titus Howard at guard, and maybe Ratledge at right guard and then Blake Fisher at right tackle? Yeah, that could be your best 5. Sure, you can sell me on that. But Titus was paid to be a tackle. I'm going to play him at right tackle specifically.
I would also throw out the line of just starting your 2 rookies at the guard spots. Have Titus Howard be your left tackle, Juice Scruggs your center, and Blake Fisher your right tackle. Titus obviously winning that battle against Cam Robinson, but maybe they go with yours, Harley. That would not surprise me whatsoever. You throw in some veterans there who have been in this league for a while. It's not just 2 rookies starting, at the guard position. It's just going to be interesting to see how the Texans attack and approach this draft. But with that being said, Harley, as we wrap it up, anything you got to say before we go on this Friday?
We're getting so close to who do you finally think is going to be pick 25?
Yeah.
So what do you think? One name real quick. This will change as we get going.
Okay.
One name. Who do you think it is at 25?
Donovan Jackson.
Yeah. I kind of agree with you there, actually.
I wouldn't be mad at it.
I'm torn, and I feel like I have there. Thank you.
Because this is why we're partners, Harley.
No, I think of Gray Zabel, and I'm going, is it finally the year the Houston Texans take a non-Power 5 guy? Is it finally the year? And if it's ever going to be the year, Gray Zabel is just fundamentally sound, can play anywhere on the offensive line, center, guard, tackle, and he's played all of them positions well. He fits perfect at the guard position. I think here in Houston, Gray Zabel, even though he came out of North Dakota State, They should not worry themselves. He can translate his game to the NFL just fine. He's got great character,
Mm-hmm.
toughness. He floored everyone. He showed out at the Senior Bowl. This is the guy for me. I think the Texans, I think they might end up with Gray Zabel at 25.
We're gonna have a little bet. Me, Donovan Jackson, you, Greg Zabel. But ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on Monday as we inch closer and closer to the 24th round one of the NFL draft. Do me all a favor. Have a real blessed rest of your weekend. We'll see you soon.